right, good morning everybody. Finally got some sun. Snow is melted, and that means we can use some of that lumber we milled. We're going to build ourselves a wood kiln today. So I don't know if you can see it on here. I drew up a little map of what I want to do. I'm going to have 7-foot walls on one side, 10-foot walls on the other, 12-foot rafters, big French style door to load and unload all the wood, and then some dry storage. So still have to do a little bit of figuring for how many we need, how many studs we need, how many rafters we need, and all that. So first thing we have to do is obviously pick our size. I haven't decided if it's going to be 8 or 9 feet, but we'll do the math for both. So since we got to figure out the angle of the roof, we can use trig here. If you have a triangle here, if this is 10 feet, that means that's 3 feet, and this is either 8 or 9. So we can do the math on that. To get the angle, we need the arctangent of either 3/8 or 3/9. So hopefully you can see that, and kept it in there, but those are the two bits of math. And so using a calculator here to get the angles, we have for 3/8 we get 20.5 degrees, and for 3/9 we've got 18.4 degrees. So that means that this angle right here is going to be either 20.5 or 18.4. So that'll give us how our diagram for cutting the rafters. So as we have our rafter here, we're going to be cutting that, and so we'll know this angle. And then we'll also be cutting here, and we'll know that angle. It's the same. So these rafters will look something like that, and then these will be the walls that come down here like that, and these will be the overhang on both ends. So this will be the 10-foot side and the 8-foot side. So now that we've got that, we can start cutting. All right, so what we have set up here is I've got all the short walls cut. Figured I should show you how I have it set up for the tall walls. Over on this end, I've got a stop board with a couple screws, and so that way when I pull my stud, it's gonna hit those screws, and I know that when I have this square against my fence, I will always have the exact same length. And so we're going to come through and make all these. We need 12 studs per wall, and then we'll need a couple nailing boards for the interior walls. These are those 2x6s that we milled. This is a 2x6x12. I'm going to cut this one down to 10 feet, and we'll use the extra 2 feet as blocking as needed once we start building. So let's make a cut here, and maybe you can get a video of it. All right, the sun's starting to go down. It's time to make a decision on these rafters. There's a couple of our chickens. All right, we're gonna go with an 8-foot wall. So now we got to calculate and figure out how to cut our rafters. So if we draw this picture again of our rafter, really terrible, not to scale drawing. So there's our 2x6x12, and we know we want to cut 2 little jogs in this to sit on the walls, because the walls will come down from here, and those are 2x6 walls. This being the short side and this being the tall side. So what we don't know is this, because we know this is 6 inches, and we know this angle because we calculated it early. That's theta. So we know that the tangent of theta is equal to x over 6. And so to figure out x, we just go through. We now know this is going to be 6 times the tangent of 20.5, which if you just round up to 21, it's like 2.6 or something, 2.5. We'll call it 2.5 because it's framing. It's plus or minus a 1/4 inch. So anyways, It's roughly 2.5 inches. So now that we know that our height is 2.5 inches, we know that's 6. The next thing we have to figure out is how to lay out this line on the 2x6. So we need to know this distance from here to here. So that distance right there. We don't know that. We know this distance. That's 7.5 feet because we have an 8-foot wall. There's 6 inches. So we know that's 7.5 feet. And we also know that the difference between this board and this board height-wise is 3 feet. So we also know that these are the same. So this is 3 feet. So now to calculate that, simple Pythagoras, it's x squared plus y squared, and then you take the square root of it, and that'll give you the hypotenuse. And I haven't done the math on that, but I'll do that, and then I'll lay it out on the 2x6 and explain that. After I get some geese flying overhead here. All right, so I want about a 16-inch overhang for the first one. So let's line up our speed square here. We know that we want an angle of roughly 21 degrees. So if you look down, we have our pivot point over there at the edge, and we want to go 21. So it's right about there. So that's the angle that we're going to mark. See if I can do this while I'm holding the camera. All right. So that's going to be the edge of the rafter. And then we come up here and to our first cut out for the rafter, same thing, 21 degrees, pivot point on the line, right there, and then we mark that, and that is going to be the 2.5 that we just measured. So we got a handy little measure on here, see, 2.5, and there's a little dog right there. Little carrot. All right, that's 2. I know it doesn't look like 2.5 because you weren't straight on, but it's 2.5. And so from there, there's a couple different ways we can do it. Although we know the angle, we could do it the same way with an angle. But we also know that we want it 6 inches because that's what our wall top plate's going to be. So we line up this 6-inch line right with the carrot on the line, and then the pivot on the edge, and we know that that is the line that we're going to draw. So I can't do this one while I'm holding, so I'll mark it up and then show you what it looks like. All right, so we got this one cut, and what I mean by patterning is we have these boards all lined up, and I'm just going to come through with all these cuts. I'm just going to mark it. No math, no measuring, nothing hard at all anymore. All the hard work's been done. We did all the math and laid it out, and now it's the easy part. Now all we have to do is lay it out and then cut. All right, good morning. Sun's just coming up. I've got to get the tractor that I borrowed down to the farmhouse, so I'm just going to haul over my the wood that we milled and cut to size for the wood kiln. I'm going to do that on the tractor since I got to get the tractor back to the farm anyways. Our business partner Chris needs it to move his camper to move back into, so see if I can take you along with the ride. Alright, here's the setup. I'm going to be driving this about 3/4 of a mile down to the main farmhouse and get you set up. Come join me on the trip. Beautiful freezing morning. Probably I don't know, 20 couple degrees. It's pretty cold this morning for early spring. All right, we're over here at the farmhouse. Sorry about cutting that trip short. The cold killed the battery pretty quick, so I got here, set up the pre-made flooring. This was a deck for our business partner's camper, which he's gracefully donating to the kiln. There's the main farmhouse barn and one of the pastures. And this is all part of it. Down there is our pond, and then our large field is over there, and coming back around there's the corner of the farmhouse. And so here we are, we got the trailer all set up and the flooring down, so we're just going to start putting together all the pieces that we cut. Alright, so we got the top plate and the shoe all lined out. We're doing 24 on center, so there'll be a a stud every 2 feet roughly on center of the stud. So we've got, like I said, both the top plate and the shoe of the short wall all marked up and lined up. And the next thing we're going to do is nail it all together. And the plan here is to build this entire wall. You can see the shoe and the top plate are made up with 2 boards. And then we're going to stagger the top plate so that you don't have the seam in the same spot. And so the plan is to build this wall in place, get it square, put a angle brace on it, and then erect this wall and then put some bracing on it so that the first wall is done. And then we'll work on the tall wall. Alright, so we got this wall framed, and now we have to make it square. So we're going to use a 3-4-5 triangle. So our 3 side is 124 1/4. So that makes our 1, you divide that by 3, 41.4 inches. And then we multiply that by 4 to get our 4 side. And that turns out to be 165.6. And so we have that here, 165.6. We mark that. And then our 5 side is 207. And so we come over here to the corner, put our tape on the corner, and measure down to our number 4 spot. And we've got 207 and a little bit. So we know this wall is square. So then we put our angle bracing on here so that it'll keep the wall square while we lift it up. And the next thing we'll do is lift the wall.